What's up? What's up?
It's Wuzzup Wednesday again. Welcome back. And once again, this isn't written, right? I wanted to talk to you, and I feel it is very apropos that I do this one in video form as opposed to written. First of all, thank you for tuning in to Wuzzup Wednesday. Thank you for following the Black Fitness Network. If you are, and if you're not, go do that. Like, share, subscribe, all the things. But it's very apropos that I do this because what this is a bit of a continuation of the last Wuzzup Wednesday. In the last Wuzzup Wednesday, I talked about whatever it is that's going on in Memphis. It was right after the president made his arrival to the city, and nobody asked for that. And, of course, he had his jigaboo all over. And since then, she's been everywhere. Tap dancing and trying to, sell his agenda. She's a grifter. So, whatever. We ain't even got to talk about that no more. She's, whatever. But the saga continues. So, recently, last week, there was a clip of LeBron James on a golf course with a couple of good guys, I guess, whatever. And he mentions Milwaukee, and then he kind of goes into a bit of a, and maybe it's edited so you don't see it. I'll give that, because he doesn't really say much about Milwaukee. He mentions Milwaukee a little bit, and he kind of goes into a thing about Memphis, about how, how, I guess, about the hotel, the West End across the street from the Forum, and how, it's not up to the same par as other NBA cities. And now just move to Nashville, because Nashville has things. Nashville has facilities for athletes, and Nashville has, a hockey team, and they have Vanderbilt, and they have, they have stuff. And since then, it's become a bit of a news story. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to try to touch as much of this as I can. So the first thing is, because we're jumping in kind of hot, the first thing is, there's so many layers here. The first thing a lot of people will say is, you know what, first and foremost, let me say this. If you're not from Memphis, but you're trying to comment on what's going on in Memphis, if you've never been to Memphis and your only reference of Memphis is what you've seen on TV or what you've heard people say, the perception, the narrative that's getting driven, that we're this crime-ridden city, that we're this, that we're this low budget, whatever the narrative that's being pushed. If that's your only point of reference to what Memphis is, to Memphis and what Memphis is, shut the fuck up. This isn't even that type of video, and I don't really do that type of thing, but if that's what, because I've seen it so much, and I've tried to be respectful in comments, because I don't want to get into like a comment back and forth. But as I'm making this video, there are a lot of you who are talking out the side of your neck, who have never been to Memphis, don't know nobody in Memphis, never been through Memphis, in Memphis, and your only point of reference is what you've heard people say or what you've seen portrayed, and none of that is real. So if that is your point of reference to Memphis, and you think that gives you some scope into and some knowledge into what this city is, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking. You don't have a clue what you're talking about. And I'm not even saying that as somebody who's from Memphis and defending Memphis, even though that's what I am. But I'm saying that because you do not have a clue of what you are talking about. Because people from Memphis have, at best, or at the very least, like the reality of what things are. We know, we understand. And because we know and we understand, we're equipped to speak on it. At least way more intelligently and way more knowledgeably than somebody who, again, no ties. No ties. Shut the fuck up. Let's get that out of the way. So, we talk about LeBron in these comments. And the thing that a lot of people want to say is that LeBron isn't the first person to talk bad about Memphis. There's a clip of KD talking about his didn't seem as negative necessarily, but I wasn't sure what he was actually trying to get at. But maybe that's what it was. But it sounded like he was talking about staying at the West End across the street. So he made some comments about Memphis when he was talking to Zebo. Draymond Green and his Neanderthal-looking ass was the first one a couple of weeks ago, or a month or so ago maybe, to start making a little bit of noise about Memphis not being quote-unquote up to par, and the first one to really I don't say the first one to introduce this per se, but this wave, the first to really introduce the idea of moving to Nashville because they have better facilities or whatever. Now, when Draymond said it, nobody listened, because nobody listens to Draymond for real. And if you do, what are you doing with your life? I'm biased there because it's been fuck Golden State for years for me. And the irony of that is that it's been fuck Golden State for me because I was a fan of LeBron. Partly. And then the rest of it was because then they came to Memphis and it's a very compounded thing. Fuck everybody from Golden State and Golden State related. Neither here nor there. Anyway, so Draymond said it. And then there's a video of Ant-Man also talking about the hotel across the street from the Forum at the West End. And that gives everybody this perception that, well, if that many people have said it, and of course they're saying, oh yeah, there are plenty of NBA players who are saying that they don't like Memphis, or they don't want to play in Memphis, or they don't want to come to Memphis, or they don't. Okay, so that's a thing. And let's be clear. Nobody in Memphis is delusional about Memphis. Because I think that's a thing too. And I think there are different angles to this. I just watched, before I started this, I watched Tony Baker commenting on it. Because the LeBron thing has taken one point that people have started to make here is a bit of the anti-blackness of that statement. Tony Baker was kind of saying, might be making a thing that's not a thing. But it is a thing. Tony, and I love Tony Baker, as I'm a big fan of his stuff. Tony said, everybody's not going to like your city. And sometimes that's just what it is. But the thing is, and that's fine. That is fine. The thing is that it's not just about not liking the city. If he just said he didn't like the city, that would be bad. But that's not just what he said. But again, this is one of those things that if you don't understand the city, and if you don't understand, the magnitude of everything that's happening, and then then again, you don't really have the scope. Because you see, if you just say you don't like the city, that's fine. You don't have to like the city. But when you start petitioning or start introducing this idea about the team needs to move, the team needs to go to Nashville, it'll be better in Nashville. No, it won't. No, it won't. You think it will. And see, you think it will because now Nashville has been gentrified to shit. And so now you think that because it's been gentrified, that's why you think that. Because let me tell you something. I had this conversation with somebody often. The Nashville now is not the Nashville from 20 years ago. Maybe not even 10 years ago. Very different Nashville. So, what you think you would be creating by moving a team like that to Nashville is not what you would actually be creating by moving that team to Nashville. Would the NBA players be a little more comfortable in Nashville? Maybe. And I've seen somebody say this, and you know what? And I'm kind of bouncing around. Forgive me. I've seen a lot of people say this, but hey, you know why you want to go to Nashville? Because there's going to be a bunch of snow bunnies around for y'all to fuck on. Let's call it spade. But that's not even what we're talking about. That's neither here nor there. So the issue becomes, yes, several NBA players have absolutely said this. Stephen A. has said it as well. Shut up, Siri.
I didn't get that. Did you try?
Shut up, Siri. Stephen A. has said that as well. But it's very different when it comes from LeBron James. LeBron James is the needle mover. LeBron James is the person that makes things move. When he speaks, people take a different type of notice. Because, again, take the notice. A lot of people have said this. So why is it that LeBron's statement has caught the fire? Because he's LeBron. Because LeBron has a voice that makes people pay attention. And it's really sad that someone who has risen to a place of being able to have a voice with that much influence would use that voice to say something so reckless, so was it intentionally anti-black? Maybe not. I'll give him the grace there to say that it wasn't necessarily intentionally anti-black. Because again, if you don't have the context, then you're just talking out the side of your neck because you're uncomfortable in the hotel. And again, I say this: was a LeBron fan. A little hard to be that now. And listen, there are people who I haven't turned on or who I, am kind of whatever about one way or the other that have done probably a lot worse than this. So I'm aware of my bias and whatever there. But it's a bit much for me. And I guess it wasn't like I'm a huge LeBron fan, but I fuck with LeBron. Got several pairs of LeBron shoes. I ain't a huge NBA fan. Never even necessarily defending them or one way or the other in the GOAT conversation. I just was always like, I think there's room to have the conversation. So like I said, I fuck with LeBron. I fuck with him enough. I got a LeBron jersey. Got some LeBron shoes. I just bought some. I hadn't even worn them yet. Whatever. So, all of that's a thing. And when he says, again, not just that he doesn't like the city, that's fine. But see, what happens is, then you have these the people who really defend LeBron, who really love LeBron, they're going to ride that coattail. I see a lot of people saying, like, well, a lot of people have said that, like I said, a lot of people have said it. The only reason y'all saying something now is because of LeBron. Yes, actually, yes, because it's LeBron. Because LeBron should be more responsible with their platform. And then he's doubled down. Like apparently he talked about it and he kind of doubled down. So that's cool. You don't fuck with Memphis? That's fine. Fuck you. Fuck you. But there's a bigger thing there. This isn't about moving an NBA team, like people are kind of having you to believe. There's definitely economic repercussions that would happen if that were to happen. So we defend trying to keep the team here for economic reasons, for trying to keep what we do have in this city afloat. The irony to that is we're talking about LeBron James, born in Akron, Ohio, played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, made a decision to go to Miami to further his career, basically, and was much maligned for it. I, again, someone who defended that. However, the reality of the thing was him leaving Cleveland crippled that city immediately. This wasn't taking a team, because they still had the team. Him leaving crippled that city. Because when LeBron leaves, everything drops. LeBron was the biggest star in the NBA. It made them relevant. Made the Cleveland Cavaliers relevant. Because they had the biggest, the heir to the throne of Michael Jordan. He made that city relevant. He made people care. Everything, the economy of the city, literally rested on the back of LeBron James. He took that and went to Miami. And the city of Cleveland suffered. Did he care? I don't know. Don't know if I've ever heard him talk about it. But that's what happened. Then he goes back, and I don't know what happened. He went back. I'm sure he made them relevant again because he was still the biggest star in the game. And then he left again. And oddly enough, now they got Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. They're probably more relevant now than they probably, in a winning sense at least, than they have been since he was there. Now again, while he was there, he's LeBron James. Finals every time. He's that. And again, that's revenue for the city. So I don't know exactly what happened when he left the second time and where they are then versus now. I don't know how all that works. But the fact remains, he crippled that city when he left the first time. So the irony of that, or the callousness to have done that then, to your hometown. So we keep saying, I've seen people make this point, and I agree, that it's wild for him, a child from Akron, to get on to talk about a city so much like the city he was born and raised in, and say that they don't need an NBA team because the hotels aren't nice enough. So the callousness to do that to your hometown, and now you're talking about, I should just uproot this team out of this city, out of this black ass city, and move to somewhere a little more palatable. Because I don't like the hotels. Well, now you're messing with the economy of the city, and now the city doesn't get better. See, it's not even a logic that makes sense. Because the thing that they keep saying is not, hey, you should focus on making Memphis better. If you're going to have an NBA team, this is what needs to improve. But you know what? He doubled that, because there's more to that, even to his comments, because he mentioned, like, oh, the only shot they ever had of me being in Memphis was if they won the lottery and drafted me, and then I might not have shown up. Oh, so you been banging on me. So you from Akron, sir, was too good to come to Memphis? I've never been to Akron, so no shade on Akron. But you're dragging it a little bit, bro. You're dragging it. So LeBron James wants the team to leave, wants to uproot the Grizzlies, and apparently others in the NBA want to uproot the Grizzlies, which is why we appreciate so much when we get stars here who we can tell appreciate being here. Zebo will forever be loved here. Tony Allen will forever be loved here. Even though he's gone, I believe Mike Conley is always held in high regard here. Ja's having their struggles, but Ja feels like Memphis in a lot of ways. So Ja got love here. Triple J had love here. Don't know why they, So when we have stars, and maybe not even stars, but players here who we feel embrace Memphis the way for what Memphis is, and embrace it, and they truly, we can tell they appreciate it. We appreciate them more. We love you when you love us. LeBron probably got a lot of, I know he does. LeBron got a lot of fans in Memphis, I'm sure, because whenever they play here, it's pretty much a sellout. And it sucks. It sucks. But there's a bigger thing here too. Because see, now I feel, and we're way too deep into this for me to be getting to this point, but now I feel even deeper about what I was saying in the last video. There's something about Memphis. And this, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. But in 2026, and some of the things that we learned about some of these other conspiracies we've heard about, and we figured out that, they're actually probably kind of true. At this point, who knows what to believe? But I can 100% say that I feel there is 100% an alignment between the National Guard, the takeover of the schools, or the potential takeover of the school system by the state, by the Memphis Safety Task Force, by all of this scuttlebutt in the media about the perception of Memphis, about all the different things that are lining up. Memphis is hot. The XAI dropping in the middle of South Memphis. There is talking point after talking point after talking point about Memphis. Memphis. And they're all negative. So I'm not sure why Memphis is a target. I'm not sure why Memphis is something that people have their eye on. Yes, we are a poor city. You know why we're a poor city? Somebody told me the idea that we are a majority black city that is led by pretty much majority white leadership. We're the blue speck, the blue dot in a red state. So if nothing else makes us a target, that does. There is something afoot. I don't know what it is. I don't have the second half of that conspiracy. I don't know what the point there is. I don't know what the end goal is, what they're trying to achieve and accomplish. That I don't know. But I know there's something. I know there's something that they are trying to target, something that they want, something that they are trying to do, whether it is devalue this city to the point that it's ripe for gentrification. Devalue everything, push out all these quote unquote poor people, make them even poorer, so the people with money can come in and drain it of everything that makes it what it is. It has some of the best water in the country, probably the world. That is a real thing. If you've been out of town, if you're from Memphis and you know the water here and you go out of town and drink the water there, 100% different. So we have some of the best water in the world, and they are trying to fuck that up because they want to probably suck it dry. They want to excavate our culture, repackage it, sell it, use it for. That's what I think. That has to be the goal. Because I don't know what the goal is. What I do know is there is fuckery afoot. I said that last time. I say it even more now. And that is the reason and oddly enough, it seems very specific that now all of a sudden there's this smear campaign from people in the NBA. And there's more than that. There's even more clips than that. I've seen a montage of a bunch of other people talking down about Memphis and the hotels in Memphis and the conditions in Memphis and all that kind of stuff. And that's why people from Memphis have a very different type of pride about being from Memphis. Because we're used to this. We're used to being talked about. So when you hear us defending, we're defending more than just the NBA team. We're defending more than just the city. We're defending our well-being. We're defending our livelihood. We are defending just the way of living day to day here in Memphis. Is there crime? Absolutely. There's crime everywhere. Is it any worse than anywhere else? Maybe. Maybe not. Memphis is like the new Chicago. You know, when anybody wants to point out crime, it's always Chicago. And they make it sound like Chicago is just, you can't go down the street. If you're going down the wrong street, you're going, run into the middle of a gang war and everybody's shooting. And it's just gang, 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 gang. And somehow now Memphis has become that, has taken on that narrative. But it's amplified. Because nobody will talk about moving the Bulls. Because people like Chicago. There's stuff to do in Chicago. Right? So nobody was talking about moving the Bulls. Because Chicago isn't a small city though, right? A small town. Small market, rather. So nobody was doing that. But the irony is that a lot of the same things happening in Chicago seem to be happening here. So somehow, we've become the new Chicago. But we're not as big as Chicago. So maybe there was, like I said, there's fuckery afoot. There's fuckery afoot. At this point, it is all coordinated. Even with the NBA, and I know that's probably a stretch, but even within the NBA or these players, they have some kind of vested interest in it too. There's fuckery afoot. I told you last time when I ended this to stay woke. You ain't got to stay woke. See, like if nothing energized us before, see, this is the funny thing. Politically, there's plenty to be energized about, right? There's plenty. But when one of the biggest NBA stars in the game in the last 20 years gets on TV and openly bashes your town and advocates for moving the team out of the city because the facilities, that'll energize your ass. And sometimes it's what it takes. So if you're watching, last time I told you stay woke, welcome to woke. And for anybody else, welcome to Memphis, mother.